Peace, 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 love, harmony, and light. Once again, this is Chief Kalanaga with another video, man. Part two. This is the build two of the Negro in question by Lee Cummins. All right, let's get into this. All right, let's get into this. So I'm going to give you guys some time to chime into that. This is part two, as promised, and we're going to get in. All right, we got work to do. We got work to do. We got work to do. They say reading is fun for the mental, right? So let us get this popping, right? Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. First off, just want to give thanks to the Great Spirit. All right. As always, life is a beautiful continuation. Want to thank my ancestors for always using me as a vessel to just bring information. And hey, hopefully the information resonates with your soul, your spirit, your body, mind, everything. You know what I mean? I'm just here. I'm just the messenger. So I'm just here to drop the information. By all means, do your own research, do your own cross-referencing. With that being said, in the continuation of life, my goal is to ultimately let you know what this is all about, that there's nothing higher or greater than you are. All of what we are dealing with, even what I'm actually teaching you right now, all that's part of the experience, all that's part of the illusion. All right. So in the continuation of life, just know that you are God. You know what I mean? But it's good to know the history for edutainment purposes. To me, that's what I call it. All right. So I'm gonna say what's up, just give a couple of highlights to, brothers and sisters, what I'm saying, who are constantly on the build. Thank you for always being a part of the build, you know what I'm saying? So there you go. Where you go. Here you go. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. Like I said, you could be anywhere right now, but you're here. So once again, my appreciation. You dig? All right. Oh, nah. You ain't missing that. You ain't missing that, famo. You ain't missing that. You know what I mean? Everything is good. Part one was definitely peace. You feel me? But we're about to do part one and part two right now, and we're about to make it happen. You dig? All right. So part two is in effect right now. We're about to read a few pages. I'm gonna go as far as that energy allow me to, So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Okay, go ahead, brothers and sisters. Do me a favor. Take the links, take that and put that on your respective platforms. You know what I mean? For those of you who are tuning in, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead, by all means subscribe. If you haven't clicked on the notification bell, by all means hit that right now. Okay, so allow me to say Osio, Mabrikwa, Galito. Okay, now I was just checking something here. Give me a second. All right, what the deal is, go on. So we're about to get in. I'm going to start reading right now. All right, we ain't got no time to waste. Let's get into that. All right, let's get into this build. Let's get into it. I'm going to start reading right now. So we left off here yesterday. For those of you who didn't see part one, go ahead and check out part two. All right. Go ahead and check out part one. But this is the book, the continuation we are reading right now. It's called the Negro Question, Part 6, the 13 Black Colonies, and the author is Lee Cummins. All right. You could go ahead and get your own copy. I'm just reading from the book and letting you know what I'm reading from. All right. Even before I proceed, a brother hit me up in my inbox on Facebook and respectfully challenged some of the information, and I told him, well, we'll do a build on that, and some of the things that he was talking about it's in regards to the Bible, places in the Bible that's actually here in the mainland, like everything that's in the Bible happened here. All right. Now, I'm just going to put it this way. And he brought up the conversation of maize, right, which is corn, which is indigenous to the Americas, of course. But let's not forget the farming. All right. The farming that happened on the other side, and they had to come down into Egypt to get food. And also keep in mind that South America brought civilization into Africa. Also, don't forget the majority of the crops that's in Africa came from the mainland. You feel me? So with that being said, this is a journey of a people, all right, with them intermingling with different races or different ethnic groups, especially with us here, because it's also said that, well, a lot of the places in the Bible is right here in the Americas. Well, guess what? A lot of places that get this back here. Here we are. We back. We back. We back. Man, I tell you, it's always something, man. Something, you know, some energy is always trying to come mess up the flow. So said we was having internet problems, I think, because it's probably raining outside or whatever. But I'm using the hotspot on my phone. So either way, we about to get this build in. We about to get this work in. You feel me? So I was going back again, you know, talking about, you know, places in the Bible. One, you know, people have to realize is this, right? We have to look at things for what they are. All right. We have to look at things for what they are. We have to look for things for what they are. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that means. And I'm going to give you a typical example, right? I'm going to give you a typical example. I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you something. Okay. So here we are. This is the Tappanzee Bridge. For those of you who are familiar with New York, or you're from New York, or you have been to New York, all right, you may have heard of the Tappanzee Bridge, right? The Tappanzee Bridge is being renamed right now to Governor M. Cuomo Bridge, right? And the people in that community, they petitioned against it, but of course, he's the governor of New York, so they're gonna do what they want anyway. The point I'm making is, here they are naming a bridge, right, after Governor Cuomo. Now that bridge becomes his legacy, the Tappanzee Bridge. Let's just say that information got lost in history. And 500 years later, people start talking about the Tappanzee Bridge, but they didn't know the name was Tappanzee Bridge. All of a sudden, all they know is Governor Mario M. Cuomo Bridge. Does it mean that the Tappanzee Bridge didn't exist? No. The truth of the matter is that is what colonizers do. When colonizers go into different places, different territories, they leave their mark. So I'm saying all that to say, when you see a lot of places in the Bible with names, okay, with those names, and say, well, everything in the Bible happened here, not necessarily. When these people migrated here, of course, they're going to bring their names of their people. Remember, these people named themselves after locations, okay? They carried their names with them. So wherever they went, they made that mark. So it doesn't necessarily mean it originated in the Americas. It could mean that it was brought here because that Bible wasn't ours. I mean, I know a lot of you, you know, want to hold on to that belief. I know a lot of you want to hold on to that ideology. that the Bible, this version or this Bible came from us, whether it's Hebrew, it don't matter what it is. It didn't come from the Americas, period. Okay? So to make the assertion that everything in the Bible happened in the Americas, that is not factual. Just because you have certain names that are here that's in the Bible. These people came and named things after them. I'm going to give you some more examples. Christopher Columbus, they say he discovered the Americas. You have Christopher Columbus Street, you have Columbus University, you have all type of stuff named after this man. Does it mean that what they say about him is true? I could give you numerous examples. You have the Thomas Jefferson Library. I mean, you have so many different examples. That's what colonization does. So I'm saying all that to say, because it's in the Bible and it may appear that it happened in the Americas with those same names, those are people who migrated here. They came here and they named places after them. All right. I could literally show you, okay, places in the United States that's called Scotland. Okay, that's called Britain on certain maps. But does that mean that this is Scotland? Does that mean that this is Britain? No, it's not. Those people came with their cultures. And once again, I know you are fighting so hard to believe in that Bible story, to make it yours. It may be yours if you came from the other side, but it doesn't belong to us here in the Americas. The original people of the Americas, we didn't have that type of Bible. In fact, we didn't have this type of Bibles, period. Okay? Our relationship was one with nature. We had a symbiotic relationship with nature. And that is just facts. Okay? So I just want to make that clear. All right? So because it speaks of maize, which is corn in the Bible, it doesn't mean that the story happened in the Americas. Some of it happened in the Americas. Like when they speak of their people coming here, you know, on ships, whatever, they're telling their story. They know what they're talking about. That is not our story. Okay? And maize was taken from the Americas into Africa, Europe, Asia, all those places. So I just want to make that clear. Okay? Now let me go back to reading. Let me stop sharing my screen and go back here so we could get into this. All right? You see what I'm saying? Because that's how they catch us with the BS, right? They come, they conquer, they change names and tell you that's what it was. And I just gave you an example of the Tapansy Bridge. 500 years from now, you wouldn't even hear it was called Tapansy Bridge. All of a sudden, it's just Governor Cuomo. And that's what colonization does. That's what colonizers do. That's what invaders do. They leave their mark, just like dogs. All right. When dogs go places, what they do? They cock. This is a word we use in the island, right? Cock up your leg, right? They go cock up their leg on trees and different places, and they pee. They leave their mark. Cock up means to, you know, lift up. All right, elevate your, you know, your leg. And pee, that's what dogs do. And I'm not saying they're dogs. I'm just showing you that's marking their territory. You feel me? That's what people do. That's what colonizers do. All right. So let's proceed with the build. So we're going to continue reading from the Negro in Question, part 6. Okay. And this is the image that you're looking at right now. This is Lord Baltimore, location Maryland, digital cultural heritage. All right. Here we are. All right. I want to let you guys to see this so as if like, you know, you're reading with me. You know what I mean? I wanted to get into focus. I don't know. All right, here we go. All right. Hopefully we could see that, right? When you crop the image and blow it up, one can see that someone went through extraordinary lengths to lighten the image of Lord Cecil Baltimore. Look at the eyes, the ears, the nose, the cheeks, and the forehead. The blackness of the image is slowly disappearing. All right, because of course, you know, a lot of these images, they whitewash them. All right. 7. And for as much as we have above made and obtained the aforesaid now Baron of Baltimore, the true lord and proprietary of the whole province aforesaid, know ye therefore further that we, forges our heirs and successors, do grant unto the said now Baron, in whose fidelity, prudence, justice, and provident circumspection of mind we repose the greatest confidence, and to his heirs for the good and happy government of the said province, free, full, and absolute power by the tenure of these presents to ordain, make, and enact laws of what kind soever, according to their sound discretions, whether relating to the public state of said province or the private utility of individuals. You hear that? Or the private utility of individuals. Of and with the advice, assent, and approbation of free men of the same province, or the greater part of them, and of their delegates or their deputies, whom we shall be called together for the framing of laws, when as often as need shall require, by the aforesaid now Baron of Baltimore and his heirs, and in the form which shall seem best to him or them, and the same to publish under the seal of aforesaid now Baron of Baltimore and his heirs, and duly to execute the same upon all persons for the time being within the aforesaid province, and the limits thereof, or under his or their government and power, in sailing towards Maryland, or thence returning outward bound, either to England or elsewhere, whether to any other part of our or of any foreign dominions, wheresoever established by the imposition of fines, imprisonment, and other punishment whatsoever, even it be necessary, and the quality of offense require it, by privation of member or life, by him the aforesaid now Baron of Baltimore and his heirs are by his or their deputy. All right, lieutenant, judges, justices, magistrates, officers, and ministers to be constituted and appointed according to the tenor and true intent of this presence, and constitute and ordain judges, magistrates, and officers of what kind, for that cause, and with what power soever, which the land and the sea of those parts, and in some form as to the said now Baron of Baltimore, or his heirs, that shall seem most fitting, and also to release, pardon, and abolish all crimes and offenses whosoever against such laws, whether before or after judgment passed, and to do all the singular other things belonging to the completion of justice, and to courts, praetorian, judicatories, and tribunals, judicial forms and modes of proceeding, although express mention thereof in this presence, be not made, and by judges by them delegated to award process, hold pleas, and determine in those courts, praetorian, judicatories, and tribunals, in all actions, suits, causes, and matters whatsoever, as well criminal as personal, real and mixed, and praetorian, which said laws so to be published as above said, we will enjoin, charge, and command to the most absolute and firm in law, and to be kept in those parts by all the subjects and liege men of us, our heirs and successors, so far as they concern them, and to be invaluable, observed under the penalties therein expressed, or to be expressed. So, nevertheless, that the laws aforesaid be consonant to reason, and not repugnant or contrary, but so far as conveniently may be agreeable to be the laws, statutes, customs, and rights of this our kingdom of England. All right. So once again, I'm showing you that all the statutes and codes and these so-called laws that we are dealing with, that is still okay. That came from England, and it is still being ran underneath that English system. Once again, who do you think him set it up? All right. It was a transfer of power. All right. You had the Black Britons mixed with the other nobles. They came and set up the 13 colonies. All right. But they lost their power to the United States, which is the Englishman. All right. The white version of the people who live in England. Remember when we read the first part, right? They spoke of two groups that lived in Britain. You had the Black Britons, and the white Britons came, which was the Englishmen, came and pushed them further into the highlands, right? So those were the people from the highlands who came and set up the 13 colonies. But then the white Englishmen, Britons, their neighbors came and said, nah, man, we did it to y'all before. We moved y'all from Britain, okay? Put you up into the highlands. Now you up in the Americas showing your face. Now we want a piece of that. So we are coming for a piece of that. So I'm showing you what was really going on. It had nothing to do with the original American people. Nothing to do with us at all. All right? Our rights was just encroached upon by all these invaders. So I'm just making that clear. Okay? So we are still being governed by their laws, be it the black nobles or the white nobles. Okay? Just so you know. There is no mention of slavery in Maryland Charter timeline. All right. And then you have Rhode Island Charter issued 1636, issued by King Charles II of Scotland. Image, location. Charters of Quincy, Team, Thornton, 2004. Here we are. Rhode Island was called the Red Island based on the translation in Paleo-Hebrew. R equal Ra, H equal Ha, O equal, doesn't say, D equals Da, and E equals Ha. Interpreted into English, it would spell reed or red. The island was called the Red Island after Zara, the son of Judah, who had the scarlet thread wrapped around his wrist. If you have some time, you should read Genesis 38, chapter 38, verse 24 to 30, concerning the birth of Zara and the scarlet thread placed on his wrist at birth. When Joshua, and you could go read that in Joshua chapter 2, 17 to 21, sent the two spies to spy out the land of Jericho, they told Rahab, the harlot, to place a scarlet thread in her window for protection, and she did. The Red Island Charter was issued to Dr. John Clark. I tried desperately to find an image of Mr. Clark, but I came up empty. There is no mention of slavery in Rhode Island Charter timeline 1636. All right, then you have the charter, His Majesty King Charles II. All right, English colony, Connecticut in New England, in America. All right, New England in America. So does that mean England is actually in America? No, that's what colonizers do. And I am making that point again. I'm confirming that. Okay. And further, of our more ample grace, certain knowledge and mere macon we have given and granted, and by these presents for us, our heirs and successors, all me give and grant unto the said governor and company of the English colony of Connecticut in New England in America, and to every inhabitant there, and to every person and persons trading there, fee there, and to every such person and persons as shall be free of the said colony, full power and authority from time to time and all times hereafter, to take ship, transport, and carry away for towards the plantation and defense of the said colony, such of our loving subjects and strangers as shall or will willingly accompany them in and to their said colony and plantation. So once again, we are looking at the 1600s, right? Where it wasn't slavery per se, but it was indentured servantry to me, which is essentially the same thing, but they wasn't calling it slavery. So you see who set up that whole system. And we're talking about in the 1630 something. At that time, the pale man was nowhere in the picture as having authority. All right. The pale man was white cargo. The pale man was working the plantation. So how could it be the pale man who came here and colonized us? All right. My job is to put this in perspective, man. Got to stop playing the games. Except such person and persons as are or shall be therein restrained by us, our heirs and successors, and also to ship and transport all and manner of goods, chattels, all right, merchandises and other things whatsoever that are or shall be useful or necessary for the inhabitants of the said colony, and may lawfully be transported their fee or their third. I mean, they spelling words all type of crazy back in those days, right? So pardon me, mispronouncing words because they missing a whole lot of letters. All right, but anyway, nevertheless, not to be discharged of payment to us, our heirs and successors, of the duties, customs, and subsidies which are ought to be paid or payable to them. Pause. The key phrase in this Connecticut charter is strangers that willingly accompany the colonists, the kings, and willingly not enslaved. You see what I'm saying? Right here. Okay? They accompanied. All right? So they were not slaves. They came here on their free will. All right? It's just like now, it's the same system. Nobody's forcing you to go to work, but you volunteer your services, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same system. There is nothing new under the sun, my brothers and sisters. Nothing new under the sun. You are literally indentured servants now. You are absolutely correct. All right? You are indentured servants. Nothing new under the sun, family. Is the same system. All right? Is the same thing that's being played over and over again. All right? I'm trying to bring this up to see if I could have this focus, but let me see here. Anyway, and for the directing, ruling, and disposing of all other matters and things whereby our said people, inhabitants there, may be so religiously, peacefully, and civilly governed as their good life and orderly conversation may win and invite the natives of the country to the knowledge and obedience of the only true God and Savior of mankind, and the Christian faith, which is our royal intentions, and the adventures free profession is the only and principal end of this plantation. I'm going to read that again because you see, y'all have to truly get what I'm reading here. This is what I'm reading here. Okay, I'm trying to see if the camera could focus, but I don't know what's going on here, man. Let me see something. All right, let me see something. Come on, go ahead and focus, partner. Go ahead and focus because this is important. I'm reading right here, okay? It says, and for the directing and ruling and disposing of all other matters and things, all right, whereby our said people, inhabitants there, may be so religiously, peacefully, and civilly governed. Okay, pay attention. As their good life and orderly conversation, it's supposed to be conversation, but we know what con means, right? Con artist. may win and what? In bold letters, invite the natives. That's the first time they spoke of the natives. Who are the natives? They're talking about us, all right? The natives of the country to the knowledge. In other words, let us give them our knowledge and obedience of the one and only true God and Savior of mankind and the Christian faith. So they're telling you the original people of the Americas were not Christians. So who brought Christianity here? Brothers and sisters, it wasn't the pale man. Okay? It was those black nobles who came here and gave us Christianity. That's why Islam, okay, and Christianity came from the same source. They all preach Jesus. Y'all gonna learn, all right? Which is our royal intentions. Well, it's supposed to be intention, but it put intent cons. And the adventurer's free profession is the only and principal end of this plantation. Okay? Pause. This section states that the principal reason for giving the royal charter to the Connecticut colony is that right here, okay? Let me see if I could bring that up. Is that they would extend the kingdom of God to the indigenous people, not slavery. So I get what you are trying to say, Brother Lee Commons, in your book, because you want to make an excuse for your ancestors and call it, giving religion to the indigenous people, but not slavery. Come on, man. Come on now. You see what I'm saying? Brothers and sisters, pay attention. So you see the bias in his writing, right? See the bias in the writing. So now we have to ask, who's the indigenous people? They spoke of their people being black, right? But now you're talking about natives and indigenous people. And now you're saying that, well, you see, the only reason why they came, it wasn't to give slavery, but it was to give them the kingdom of God. That's enslaving us. We didn't want your God. Christianity is an army. So now you're trying to pacify the actions of your ancestors by saying it wasn't slavery, but it was to come give us the kingdom of God. We didn't want your kingdom of God. Your God ain't our God. All right. Like I tell y'all, man, when y'all read, y'all got to read with understanding. That's what you got to do. Anyway, let's proceed. All right. Nice try, though, Lee Commons. I got you. I appreciate the book, though. Okay. And to take awe, surprised by all ways and means whatsoever, all and every such persons with their ships, armor, ammunition, and other goods of such as shall in such hostile manner invade or attempt the defeating of the said plantation, or to hurt of the said company and inhabitants, and upon just causes to invade and destroy the natives or other enemies of said colony. He said, pause, all right? Pause here, he said. Okay? There was like, you know what, now we're not going to give them physical slavery, but let's give them that spiritual, mental slavery. Let's give them that book. All right. The king is implicit in the description of the use of the deadly force, but nowhere does he state that the colonies are to invade, destroy, and enslave. This is a game changer. How is it a game changer, Mr. Lee Commons, when we are still enslaved now? What do you think the birth certificate is? Come on, man. What do you think your Bible is? That's a tool of enslavement for indigenous people. So come on, bro. I get what you're saying. Anyway, let's read. All right, let's read. Right here. To have and to hold the same unto said governor and company, their successors and assigns, forever upon trust for the use and benefit of themselves and the associates, free men of said colony, their heirs and assignees, to be holden of us, our heirs and successors, as of our manor of East Greenwich, is in free and common shortage, and not in capite, nor by night's service. Yumbling, certainly that's probably humbling. All right, but they have yumbling. But anyway, I'm going to read what it says. Yumbling. So I don't want y'all to think it's me butchering the words. I'm just showing you what they got. Okay. Yumbling and paying, therefore, to us, our heirs and successors, only the fifth part, all of the ore of God, of gold and silver, which from time to time and at all times hereafter shall be there gotten, had, or obtained. Now you hear what they're saying here? In other words, they're saying, let's break this down again. Yumbling and paying. All right, you have to pay. Therefore, to us, that's your tithes now. All right, to us, our heirs and successors. In other words, all their children and whoever come in their place. Only the fifth part of all the core of gold and silver, which from time to time and at all times hereinafter shall be there gotten, had, or obtained. Brothers and sisters, in today's day and age, those are your taxes. It is still going to England. All right? It is still going to London, England. Okay? In lieu of all services, duties, and demands, whatsoever to be to us, our heirs of successors, therefore, or thereout, rendered, made, or paid. So once again, all our gold and silver wasn't taken by the pale man. By the time the pale man came in the game, all the gold and silver was already gone. Okay? All that stuff was already gone for the most part. The majority of it was gone. In 1933, when they finally banned the gold and silver, they had already depleted our land. That was just the remnants of the gold and silver that our ancestors was holding on to. And they made that illegal. At that time, it was the pale man in power. All right? Here we are. All right? This charter makes provisions for the colony to pay the king 1/5 of the gold, ore, and silver that is to be extracted from the earth. But he never mentions revenue from the North Atlantic slave trade, and this is an important omission. What we have here are the facts, ladies and gentlemen. The Black Stuart Highlanders were not involved in the slave trade per the laws of England. Well, they were not involved in the slave trade, but they were involved in the enslavement of my people through their religion with their army. Christianity is a religion. You see what I'm saying? Come on, man. This explains the actions of King Charles I when he was trying to raise an army to defend the Third Kingdoms against Oliver Cromwell. All right. His wife, Queen Henrietta Maria of France, went all over Europe pawning her jewelry to raise money for arms and soldiers, but they never received money from the sale of humans. These original charters illuminate the fact that the Black Europeans were interested in religion and the extraction of precious metals. Come on, man. That's still colonization. That's invasion. So because you called it indentured servitude, all right, and you come and raid the land and you come and impose your gods on us, does that make it moral? Come on, Mr. Lee Cummings. Come on, man. You know better than that. I know you're trying to, pacify what your ancestors did, but come on. Come on, let's speak the truth, brother. All right? Here we are. Let me see. Europe, and give me a second here, guys. Let me just catch up again. Extraction of, okay. In the beginning of this chapter, I informed you that in some of the states, I would deal with the color of the images, and in the other states, I would deal with the non-slavery wording of the charter. Work with me on this, all right? Here we go. Issued by King James Charles II of Scotland, the Royal Charter of Carolina, 1663, all right? All crimes and offenses whatsoever against said laws, and to do all every other thing and sign and things, which unto the complete establishment of justice unto courts, sessions, and forms of judicature, and manners of proceedings therein do belong, although in these presents express mention be not made thereof, and by judges and by him or them delegated to award process, hold pleas, and determine in all the said courts and places of judicature all actions, suits, and causes whatsoever, as well criminal or civil, real, mixed, personal, or of any other kind or nature whatsoever, which laws, so as aforesaid to be published, or pleasure is, and we do require, enjoin, and command shall be absolute, firm, and available in law, and that all the liege people of us, our heirs and successors within said province of Carolina, do observe and keep the same invaluable in those parts, so far as they concern them under the pains and penalties therein expressed, or to be expressed, provided nevertheless that the said laws be consonant to reason, and as near as may be conveniently agreeable to the laws and customs of this our kingdom of England. All right. So once again, they are imposing the laws and the religion of England, but you're going to come tell me now, oh, now that is not slavery. Come on, stop it. Stop it, bro. Stop. All right. Let's read. I don't mean to beat a dead horse by illustrating the verbiage, wording of each royal charter but it is necessary to show you the consistency of the wording. I want to make it plain to you that the black Europeans had no desire to enslave the indigenous people of America. But Brother Lee Cummings, they did. How are you going to say they didn't? By you taking and coming and raping our land. Okay, imposing your religion. What is Christianity? Christianity is an army. So how you, and I know our ancestors fought, so how are you going to tell me? Let's read again. I want to make it plain to you that the black Europeans had no desire to enslave the indigenous people of America. That may not have been the desire, but when we retaliated, okay, they forced it on us and they murdered our people. So come on, bro. All right. The black Europeans had it in their mind that they were extending the kingdom of God. That wasn't your job. That wasn't your responsibility. We didn't ask you to come extend the kingdom of your God. Your God is not our God. So you see, even the writer of this book is making an excuse for what his ancestors did. Well, it wasn't intended, but you know what? Hey, it just so happened your indigenous ancestors didn't want Christianity. So you know what? We killed a few of them. So now we got churches on every corner. Come on, bruh. Anyway, this is the reason that in my introduction, I wrote that this book was the first of the kind, because it is. Below is a list that the men who ran the colony, these were the princes. Okay? Here we are. And because that in so remote a country and situate among so many barbarous nations, and the invasion as well of savages as of other enemies, pirates and robbers, may probably be feared. Therefore we have given, and for us, our heirs and successors, do give power by this presence unto said Edward Earl of Clarendon, Judge Duke of Albemarle, William Lord Graven, John Lord Berkeley, Anthony Lord Ashley, Sir George Carteret, Sir William Berkeley, and Sir John Colleton. So just so you know, those are the lords, their gods that they refer to themselves in the Bible. That's them right there. They gave themselves power, okay? They made themselves gods over this land. Here we go. Edward Earl of Clarendon, image, location, Britain Museum. All right, this is what the gentleman looked like. He was one of the black nobles, okay? Blown up image, Edward Earl of Clarendon, Location of image, Britain Museum. Blown up image of George Duke of Albemarle. Image location, Fitz Museum, United Kingdom. So once again, they're showing you all the princes that they gave the land to in certain places in the Americas. All right. How are you going to give your people something that's not yours? But you're going to tell me now, oh, we didn't come to enslave. That wasn't the intention. We came to give you the kingdom of God. Oh yeah, right, with the sword. I know. Here's another one. Image of William Lord Graven, British Museum. Image of William Lord Graven, blown up. Let's read. Their heirs and assigns by themselves or their captains or other their officers to levy, muster, and train all sorts of men of what condition or whatsoever born in the said province for the time being, and to make war and pursue the enemies aforesaid, as well by sea, by land, yea, even without the limits of the said province, and by God's assistance to vanquish and take them, and being taken out them to death by the law of war, or to save them at their pleasure, and to do all and every other thing which unto the charge of a captain general of an army belongeth, or have accustomed to belong, as fully and freely as any captain general of an army hath or ever had seen, or the same. Now let's read this again, because you see, the author is making, Mr. Lee Cummins is making absolute sure that he is pointing out, or wants to make the point, that they didn't come to enslave the indigenous people. But I'm reading here. Let's read this again. You didn't emphasize on that, but I am going to emphasize on that. Let's read this again. Okay? To levy, muster, and train all sorts of men, of what condition or wheresoever born in the said province for the time being, and to make war. So what's the excuse for that? You saying to make war and to pursue enemies aforesaid. Obviously, the indigenous people were your enemies. Okay? As well by sea as by land, yea, even without the limits of said province. And what? And by God's assistance to vanquish. So is that the type of God that you want to come give us? A God that's going to vanquish and take them, and being taken, put them to death? Go read the Bible. That's exactly what their God was doing in the Bible, telling them to go to other lands and take people's lands, kill babies, rape children. That's what their God was telling them to do in the Bible. So how are you going to tell me that's our Bible? That is not our Bible, man. That was a Bible that was used. They are telling their story. And here we go again, confirming it. The man is telling you. But in other paragraphs, okay, he said, oh, well, now we didn't come to enslave them. That wasn't the intention. You know, we just want our God to vanquish them, put them to death by war, by law of war. Come on, man. Or to save them. What you mean to save us? You know, you have your God vanquishing us, killing us, but at the same time you want to save us? Isn't that what religion is teaching? You know what I'm going to do in this day and age? I'm going to make sure you don't live a good life. I'm going to make sure your children go to prison. I'm going to make sure your children get arrested. I'm going to make sure we poison your foods. Oh, but you know what? We love you so much. We're going to give you Jesus to save you in heaven. Come on, man. It's the same thing he said his ancestors did. You see, y'all got to read between the lines, family. That's what I do, man. That's what I do. All right? Which unto the charge of captain general of an army belongeth, or to have accustomed to belong, as fully and freely as any captain general of an army hath or ever had the same. I have to admit that the wording of this charter is a little vague, but the Stuart Kings kept the Magna Carta. All right, all of a sudden, Mr. Lee Cummins, then this chapter is a little vague. No, it's not vague, brother. It is straightforward. Okay, it's straightforward. It says what? All right. And by God's assistance to vanquish and take them, and being taken to put them to death by law of war or save them. In other words, we're going to give you our God by the law of war. If you don't take it, you will die. But the only way to get saved is to take our God. So, Mr. Lee Cummings, don't tell me it's vague, brother. It is straight to the point. It is straight to the point. It couldn't be more straightforward. All right? Let's read again. And just so you know, they were the ones who created the Magna Carta as well. All right? It wasn't the pale man. I keep telling y'all. The Royal Charter of Carolina did not contain slave languages. Oh no, they kept it out of the languages. All right then. We have Image Location Atlas Maritimus 1676, and they're showing Jersey right here. Okay, and let's read it and see what that is. I think that's the image of George Carteret. I think that's who that is. All right, let's read. Trying to focus this right here. All right. The eastern half of New Jersey belonged to Sir George Carteret or Carter. What you mean it belonged? What you mean it belonged? Who gave you that? Who gave you that authority? How many of the indigenous people you had to kill to make that statement that it belonged? You came from England, Britain, the other side of the world. All right. I have blown the image up on the next page so that you can see the blackness of this Scot from the Three Kings. There is another important fact that emerges from this image, however subtle and simple that it may seem. If you take a closer look at the black Scots, you will notice that they are not wearing wigs. Okay? They are not wearing wigs. Look at how the hair is coming up from the scalp. Any woman on the block will tell you that the images of these people depict their real hair. Note also the black image of Carteret in the top right hand corner of the stamp. All right, that's the image right here. Okay. The name Carter traces its original to the Channel Isles, which belonged to Britain, and of course, the Britons were black people, according to the European historians. Okay. Here we go. Pennsylvania Charter. Charles II, by the grace of God, it's always about God. They're always injecting their God to do what they have to do because their God gave them permission to rape, kill, and pillage. All right. Now it begs the question, who is their God? That's why I keep saying their God is not my God. All right. King of England, Scotland, France, and Ireland, defender of the faith. Whose faith? Your faith is not our faith. Okay. To all whom this present shall come, grace. Whereas our trusty and well-beloved subject William Penn, Esquire, son and heir of Sir William Penn, deceased out of commendable desire to enlarge our English empire and to promote such useful commodities as may be of benefit to us and our dominions. Okay? They made our people their dominions. They were extending the British Empire. All right? The same way the Moors were expanding their Moroccan Empire. It doesn't mean that this was Morocco. No. They were invaders and colonizers. Okay? Everybody wanted a piece of the American pie. Y'all better realize that. Okay? Everybody wanted to make us their subjects, their dominions. That's why, again, like I said, that Bible is an allegory. Even in the Bible, it says what? Go be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth and have dominion. Okay? They were talking to their people. They were calling lords and gods. Go around the world, go into the Americas, be fruitful, multiply, have dominion over everything, subdue it. Come on, man. I don't know if I'm the only one who'll be seeing this, but anyway, I'm gonna keep telling the truth. Here we go. As also to reduce savage natives by gentle and just members to the love and civil society and Christian religion. Come on, it's right there in bold. Also to reduce the savage natives. In other words, genocide, the Holocaust of the American Indians by gentle and just mammals to the love of the civil society and Christian religion. Come on, man. But our people still got churches on every corner. Don't know where this Christian religion came from. A disrespect to our ancestors. Come on. All right. Let's read. The wording of this charter proves that it never entered into the mind of the black steward kings to enslave the native Indians. Or really, Mr. Lee Cummings, what does it mean to get your God, to vanquish them, okay, to murder them with the law, or to save them? So, oh no, so it wasn't in their intentions to enslave the natives, but it was in their intentions to murder the natives? Come on, Mr. Lee Cummings, you know better than that, man. You know when you're dealing with Chief Kalanaga, I'm going to break it down, fam. All right? King Charles II is explicit when he says, reduce the savage natives by gentle and just manners. This charter was issued in 1681 by the Stuart Scottish Highlander king, and the key phrase, this document is gentle and just. Oh, really? Even up to this day, it's not gentle and just. Imagine when it was a time when our ancestors was fighting. Come on, family. Our ancestors were fighting back. It is not like today where you have this, our passive Negro brothers and sisters. No, our ancestors were fighting. They were fierce. So there was no way it could have been gentle and just. Because even today it's not. So just imagine when there was a real resistance. This charter was issued in 1681 by Stuart Scottish Highlander king, and the key phrase, this document is gentle and just. Do I have to explain what gentle and just means? No, you don't have to, Lee Cummings. I already know what it means. It is written that he that have friends must first show himself friendly. It appears that the Black Scots came into North America with friendship as their guide. There is no mention of slavery in this document. Well, come on. They came no, they didn't come as friends. All right. They came as friends with the intention of taking our stuff. All right. And because we didn't want to give our stuff, then all of a sudden they became enemies. So please stop. Okay, stop. Let's continue. Let's continue. The laws for regulating and governing the properties within the said province, as well for the descent and enjoyment of lands, as likewise for the enjoyment and succession of goods and chattel, and likewise as to felonies, shall be and continue the same, as they shall be for the time being by the general course of law in our kingdom of England. All right, that's what they made our land, the kingdom of England, until the said laws shall be altered by the said William Penn, this heirs or assignee, and by the freemen. All right, and by the freemen of the said province. So the freemen, you know who they're talking about, right? They're talking about our people, the indigenous people. Their delegates or deputies, or the greater part of them. All right, meaning that the rest of the population. So you had delegates and deputies speaking on behalf of the entire population. The same way today, you have senators, right? You have senators, you have congressmen that go speak on behalf of their delegates. Brothers and sisters, there's nothing new under the sun, man. Nothing new under the sun. All right. Okay. William Penn issued his own charter, and if you backtrack and reread the essay of Benjamin Franklin, you could see that the indentured servants and convicts were flooding into Pennsylvania colony. On the next page, I have provided you with a coin depicting William Penn as a black man dated in 1701. Okay? 1701. Here we go. The Pennsylvania Charter of 1700 was not issued by King Charles II. It was issued by William Penn himself. The charter was mentioned freemen, black Scots, and the liberty afforded to them. So when you see a lot of these coins, all right, that was out in the 1700s, and you think that was our people, no, that were the black Scots, all right? They put their faces on their own money. And it wasn't until the pale man took over and the pale man put his face on the money. Brothers and sisters, this is all about colonization. All right? Here we are. The charter never mentions the enslavement of men, but insinuates that some men are not free men. Come on, man. That's the wordplay. Come on, Lee Commons. Stop, man. Stop. The charter, let's read this again. The charter never mentions the enslavement of men, but insinuates that some men are not free men. So if you're telling me I'm not free, what is the opposite of not being free? It's being enslaved. So Lee Commons, come on, man. I know you're trying to justify what your ancestors did, bro. But you know what? I'm gonna break this down. All right. The charter, coupled with this essay that Benjamin Franklin wrote in 1751, may be alluding to the indentured servants flooding into Pennsylvania. This change of tone in this charter corresponds to the reign of Black German Hanover King the Georges. And you have coin depicting William Penn of Pennsylvania, 1701. Google coin of William Penn, 1701. Okay? Here we are, the next page. I am not going to read you the entire charter. You can do that on your own. I just want to read the most important part to you. So always, as the said bylaws, constitutions, orders and ordinances, pains and penalties from time to time to be made and imposed be reasonable and not contrary or repugnant to the laws or the statutes of our realm. This was the original charter that was given to the people of Georgia. It was until the reign of King George II that the Magna Carta was broken. King George II legalized slave trade in Georgia and went about the business of legalizing slavery in Virginia. There is an interesting passage in the original Declaration of Independence. It was deleted. Thomas Jefferson names King George II as the king that legalized slavery in the colonies. All right? Thomas Jefferson. King George II has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of a liberty in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, or to incur miserable death in their transportation thither. But let me ask you a question, right? So King George was like, listen, man, you know what? I am tired with all the insinuations, all right? I am tired with all the BS. Y'all want to use Christianity? Y'all want to use the Bible and play these games to enslave the people's minds? You know what, man? Listen, I'm going to just keep it real. I'm going to just keep it real, all right? And I'm going to go in with the full-blown slavery. So I got more respect for King George. Real talk. I'd rather you show me that you're my enemy than to come play the game like you want to save me, and at the same time, you enslaving me. Nah, all right? We ain't having that. All right? So let us not make no type of, you know what I'm saying, like You want to give them a reason or explain or justify their form of slavery. Nah, man. I'm vibing with King George. Nah, it is what it is. If I'm going to enslave you, I'm just going to do it brutally. I'm not going to play the games with you now. I'd rather you enslave my body than enslave my mind. So I got more respect for King George, real talk. That's why I got more respect for Trump than Obama. That's just my opinion. All right? In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitions for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a people who mean to be free. Future ages will scarce believe that the hardiness of one man adventured within the short compass of 12 years only on so many acts of tyranny without a mask. That's why they always give you that 12 years of slavery, right? On so many acts of tyranny without a mask over the people fostered and fixed in principle of liberty. I did the math. 1663 plus minus 12 is 1751. This was the exact year that Judge Charter was revoked and slavery was legalized in Georgia colony. All right, so here we go. So you're trying to tell me that one form of slavery was spiritual, it was religious, and another one was physical. Stop it, man. All right? Stop it. King George took away our charters and altering fundamentally the forms of our government. It was the Black German Hanover King, the Georges, that took away the charters and that original colonial form of government. In the original colonial government, there was no such thing as slavery. That is a fact. Oh no, it didn't have slavery, just indentured servants. All right? Indentured servantry. All righty. Hold on for 1 second here. Let me see if I could pull something up while you guys are building in the chat. Let me see if I could pull something up real quick. Give me a second here, guys. I just want to pull something, right? So I'm going to share my screen here real quick because I see that, Brother Lee Cummins is playing semantics with the words. All right. Here we go. Let me share the screen. Okay. Share screen. All right. Indentured servitude. Indentured servitude. Let's read that real quick. I'm sharing the screen. There's a slight delay. What's going on? Okay. I hope you guys could see this, but I'm reading indentured servitude, right? An indentured servant or indentured laborer is an employee, indentury, within a system of what? Unfree labor, who is bound by a signed or forced contract. Okay? So if you're forced to contract, how are you going to tell me that's not slavery, man? So come on, Brother Lee Cummins, man. Let's not play the semantics with the words, fam. Let's not do that. You feel me? And then what does it say? It says, right, is an employee indenture within a system of unfree labor. Let's look at unfree labor. Is a generic or collective term for those work relations, especially in modern or early modern history, in which people are employed against what? Their will, with the threat of destitution, detention, violence, compulsion, or other forms of example, hardship themselves or their families. Okay? So therefore, indentured servants or indenture, all right, is the same thing as slavery. All right, so Brother Lee Cummins, I just wanted to make sure you know exactly that is the same thing. You did. All right, let me go back to reading now because reading is fun for the mental. Reading is fun for the mental. Let's proceed. Okay, where we at? Thomas Jefferson. Okay. Okay, they are permitting their chief. Let me see. Seal of government, original colonies. Okay, this is where we at. Where we left off right here. Okay, they are permitting their chief magistrate to send over not only soldiers, detachments of our common blood, but Scottish and foreign mercenaries to invade and deluge us in blood. Whose are those Scots and foreign mercenaries, Mr. Jefferson? The answer lies in Benjamin Franklin essay 1751. Let's read a portion of it. All right, Benjamin Franklin essay 1751. Since detachments, okay, of English from British sent to America will have their places at home so soon supplied and increased so largely here. Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us? King George was a German instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion. Okay? So at the end of the day, all right, they were talking about, I'm going to read this again. Pay attention to what I'm reading here now. All right? Since detachments of English from Britain sent to America will have their places at home so soon supplied and increase so largely here. Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize? Okay? So it was them fighting against themselves. You feel me? Us, King George was a German instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs or more than they can acquire our complexion. All right? Benjamin Franklin is telling you that the Germans were black and King George was a black German king. You feel me? Which we already established. All right? Benjamin Franklin continued, which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All Africa is black or tawny, Asia chiefly tawny, America exclusive of the newcomers, meaning that apart from the newcomers, woolly so. I'm going to read that again, but you see how they be dropping them jewels? Brothers and sisters, open up your mind. Those who have eyes, let them see, and those who have ears, let them hear. When you read, you have to read with understanding, not understanding, but understanding. Let's read that again. And that came from the Benjamin Franklin letters. All right, let's read. Which leads me to add one remark. That's Lee Cummins stating that, right? That the number, stating that this is what Benjamin Franklin said, quote, open quote, right? Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. In other words, they are not the majority, they are the minority. All right, let's read this here. It says, all Africa is black. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia is chiefly tawny. Okay? America exclusive of the newcomers. In other words, America exclusive of the new black people that came to America. America was what? Woolly so. Meaning that the people in the Americas, they were already brown or tawny or so-called black. Y'all got to read between the lines. So even in the Benjamin Franklin letters, it's telling you the indigenous people, what? Exclusive of the newcomers, that they were what? They were black and chiefly they were tawny. It's right here. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, as the Germans also. The Saxons also accepted, who with the English make the principal body of the white people on the face of the earth. All right? Man, y'all better recognize what it is. King George II was a black German, and he was the King of England in 1751. I want to ask you a question. If the Scots, Brits, and Irish were black according to Boyd Dawkins, page 3, and Lee Cummins, how come Benjamin Franklin didn't include them among the tawny or black in Europe? By 1751, the black Scots, Britons, and black Irish had been deported into Barbados, Americas, West Indies, Jamaica, or beyond the sea. What was the after effect was the deportation of the black Scots. Once the children of the three kings were deported, the whites assumed their names, royal titles, lands, and most importantly, their history. This is the seed of the white barbarians that caused the collapse of the western leg of the Roman Empire. Like I told y'all before, the Roman Empire, they were so-called black people. All right? This is the seed of the white barbarians that chased out the Central Asia by Attila, the Hun, and the Genghis Khan. The whites committed a hostile takeover of the black Europe and black America. This is a fact, not fiction. Well, here's what you're saying, Mr. Lee Cummins. What you are not alluding to is that your people came and took over our land, and the whites came and took it from you. You see, brothers and sisters, doesn't matter how you look at it. Everybody's always trying to tell their story, but always make an excuse for what their people did to our people. They want to pacify what their ancestors did, but blame everything on the pale man. The pale man ain't doing nothing you ain't did to us. All the pale man wanted to do was get a piece of the pie. And y'all didn't want him to get a piece of the pie, so they fought y'all and they took the whole pie. So now everybody in their feelings. You feel me? Because y'all came here first and y'all enslaved my people, man. Stop the mess, please. Stop the mess. Give me a second here. Here we go. Benjamin Franklin continued. Why increase the sons of Africa, the black Scots? All right, and he have in brackets the black Scots. So the sons of Africa are the black Scots. All right, who are the black Scots? The black Scots are who? The Hebrew Israelites. Okay, they are the sons of Africa. All right, and I'm telling you based on what the man is saying about his people. By planting them in America, okay, they planted them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lower white and red. But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. Can you think? These black Scots were not slaves, because if they were Benjamin Franklin would have rejoiced over the prospect of the free labor. If we were not slaves, then who were they? These were the black Jacobites, that were flooding into the colonies as convicts, free men, or indentured servants, and I shall make that plain in the chapter dealing with the Sheep's Manifest. So once again, you know who the Black Scots were. You know who the Jacobites were. Okay, the Jacobites were the progenitors of what we call Israel. Okay, let's read. There was only a free population of blacks in the colonies from a very beginning. They were the offspring of the black founding fathers. Colonial history must be adjusted to show the Black Scots were the original founders. There has to be an adjustment to the British involvement in the North Atlantic slave trade. It has to be divided by the reigns of the Black Stuart kings and the Black German Hanover kings, the judges. The Black Stuart kings were not involved in the North Atlantic slave trade per the original charters. Oh no, they didn't come, they were not part of the slave trade per the charters. But however, they came with the Dum Diversus. They came with the Bible. They came with the sword. It's either you take our God or take our God, Christian, or you die. So come on, Lee Cummins. I'm not going to let you get away with the biasness in this book. All right, I'm going to point it out. Okay. On the other hand, the Black German Hanover king broke the charters and legalized slavery. Okay, so it's like, okay, you know what? You know when some people say, I rather deal with the devil I know than the devil I don't know? That's basically what Lee Cummins is saying. Well, you already had a devil here who forced their God on you, but now comes a devil you don't know. So you should have stayed with the one that you don't know. Or I mean the one that you already know. Come on. Read between the lines, fam. All right? Read between the lines. Where we at here now? On the other hand, the Black German Hanover kings broke the charters and legalized slavery. The timeline for the slave trade in the British colonies has to be adjusted to 1752, the Georgia Charter, 1763, Florida Acquisition, and finally 1803, Louisiana Purchase. The Spanish and the French dates for the slave trade are to be dated according to their entry into the American hemisphere. If the record of the eyewitnesses is true, and it is, how did the Black Scots lose control of the colonies? I will answer that question in part 7. Let's finish this book. Timeline 1803. All right? I want to see if you are on the same page. Oh, trust me, Lee Cummins, I'm on the same page with you, brother, but I'm just taking it to another level. All right? Have you been asking yourself the same question that I have been asking myself throughout the first 4 chapters of this book? If these Black Scots existed, what happened to them? I have developed 3 schools of thought concerning this matter. 1, a huge percentage of the Black Scots got absorbed into the Black Indian population. Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Lee Cummins. How can Black people get absorbed into an Indian population if they were not the same complexion? I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait. Okay, let's proceed. Number 2, the whites exterminated the indigenous Indians along with the Black Scots, and the history of the Black Scots got merged together with the history of the Black slaves in the South. Now, when you call the Black slaves, what are you talking about, brother? You see, you kind of playing you're playing with the games here now, because you say 1, a huge percentage of the Black Scots got absorbed into the Black Indian population, right? So that means they had the same complexion, the Black Indian population. So we know the Indians were black, so-called black, right? We know we're not black, but we're just reading the book right now. Number 2, the whites exterminated the indigenous Indians along with the Black Scots, and the history of the Black Scots merged together with the history of the Black slaves in the South. But what they're not telling you is the so-called Black Indians, they were not slaves. All right? So who are these Black slaves you're talking about, brother? All right? We were taught in the government-sponsored schools system that the runaway slave sought refuge among the Indians. So obviously, Once again, you see, the Indians were not slaves. I just confirmed that. But they never taught us that the Indians were black. Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Lee Cummins. You know, there you go. They're not going to teach you that but we know we're not black, but we get what we're saying, right? We're not going to play the semantics with the word black right now. So we are validating that we, the so-called black people, the so-called African Americans, we are the original Indians. And he's confirming that again. All right. I have prepared images of the original black Indians of America to illustrate to you that my hypothesis is not as absurd as it sounds. Take a look for yourself and you will be the judge. So he's showing image location. That's at the Johnny Aborigine. Johnny Aborigine. He mentioned that him in the book. Italian, blah, blah, blah. And they're showing some pictures that most likely is from Arnaldus. All right. A true depiction of the Americas. All right. Now it says image taken from original on previous page. You have the crown. All right. I showed this image down. I slowed this image down so that you could see that something is not right with the image. The Indian on the right has a crown on his head. I have never seen an American Indian wearing a crown. Have you? The Indians on the left appear to have on a Roman clothing and a Phrygian cap. The Phrygians were black Jews. Look at the Bible, Acts chapter 2, 1-9, that were present in Jerusalem on the day of Pentecost. The cap that the Indian is wearing is identical to the cap that the King Midas is wearing on page 40 of this book. Either I am tired, it is 6:30 in the morning, or it appears that these images are not your traditional Indians. The imagery suggests that the Indians wearing the crown, Roman clothing, and Phrygian cap have a more advanced civilization than the Indians on the right. The Indians on the right is wearing a skull on the headdress, which violates the statutes of God. That is your statutes, man. That is not ours. We had our own civilization. So how could we wearing our indigenous attire violate the statutes of God? And talking about, well, apparently the one with the Roman hat came from a better civilization or more advanced civilization. Come on, brother. The touching of dead men's bones, Numbers 19:16, make you unclean for 7 days. What does that mean? That means that two different black civilizations were being represented as one people, when the fact that they are not. Your eyes have not been trained to read the images, nor have mine for that matter. I recently developed the skill over the last 5 years. He's absolutely right. Okay? He's absolutely right. This is the picture right here. All right? He's absolutely right. There were two sets of so-called black people in the Americas. The Indians, all right, indigenous Americans, and those Scots, the British, the Irish, the black Germans, all those people, right? And they intermingled. So because we got a skull on our headdress, all of a sudden, oh, that's unclean. You see, that's why they came with their laws. They came with their laws. You did. Anyway, let's read. Okay? Indian of the Powhatan and Pocahontas period. Cigar store, figure 1870, the tobacconist's shop. It does not depict the typical Plains Indian, but rather the Indian of the Powhatan and the Pocahontas period. All right? And that's in the early 1500s, 1600s, John Smith, explorer of the first permanent English colony, described the indigenous people that he was at war with on the eastern shores of North America in Jamestown, Virginia. The Powhatan Indians, the Algonquin chief, more like a devil than a man, with some 200 more as black as himself. Right here. All right. I'm trying to see if I could kind of like see if I could make the image. I don't know what's going on with this. Like, Anyway, let's read. The general history of the Virginia, New England, and the Summer Isles of 1624. The wording on this image confirms the writing Benjamin Franklin. The Europeans found America completely black. All right, that's a fact. Benjamin Franklin. Once again, we are not going to play the semantics with the word black. Okay, we're gonna look at it for what it is. We know we're in black. All right, but once again, the wording on this image confirms the writings of Benjamin Franklin. The Europeans found America completely black. The original Floridian Indian. Okay. And I'm not sure if we could read this, but it says, there was in the first very large black Indian of, let me see, I'm trying to see if I could sharpen this image here, man. But anyway, of the aspect very different from those who inhabit the interior of the country. The barbarians of the coast are black in the manner because the sun is there, warmer than elsewhere, and because they are continually in the water, which is salt, for the land being dry and sterile. They are obliged to fish in order to subsist. When the Indian had approached the cavalry near, was that Haughtiness told the Spaniards, according to what the interpreter asserted, that the Spaniards were robbers. What did they come to seek upon the coast, and that they should leave it in haste? Otherwise, he would burn their brigantes and put them all to a miserable death. The history of the Hernando de Soto and Florida by Bernard Shipp, chapter 8, page 472 to 473. Image, the history of Hernando de Soto and Florida. Author Bernard Shipp, chapter 8, page 472 to 473. All right, here we go. Image of Amite, Louisiana. You cannot tell the difference between these black Indian women. The so-called Negro, or the blacks from the original 13 colonies, once the original Scots founded the land, they began to populate the Americas, and thus you would have black Scots who became Indians by birth. Like I said, that's how you see, the author is being a little bit biased here. Okay, he's speaking some truth, but he's not telling you they came and impregnated our women, okay, to get nobility on this land. All right, that was a treaty, that was a covenant. Okay, so they became Indians by birth. In other words, they became natives, right? I used to be an accountant, and I had an old CPA teach me how to use the algorithm concept to find the answer for X. That is when you back into an answer using the available information that you have. This is what we are that is what we are doing today. We are solving X by using the available data. Kiowa Chief, Lone Wolf, and Wife Eater. Image of location, Wikipedia. Image of Chief Bigfoot. Image location, Denver Library and Library of Congress. But even with these people right here, okay, you could still see that they have a little mixture of some type of, either Asian or Mongoloid. All right? They have the complexion, but you could see they're still mixed. They're still not the original. Here we go. Library of Congress prints. Photograph. 15 title. Indian chiefs who concealed General Miles and settled the Indian War. Standing Bull. Bear who looks back, running. Number 3 has the big white horse. Number 4, white tail. Number 5, liver bear. Number 6, little thunder. Number 7, bulldog. Number 8, high hawk. Number 10, lame. The portrait is an eagle pipe group portrait of Lakota chiefs, 5 standing and 5 sitting, with teepee in the background, probably on a near Pine Ridge Indian reservation. Now look at these people. All right, you would clearly see that these people have some form of Asian in them. All right, here we go. Okay, and that is Geronimo with fringes on his garment. I'm certainly sure you guys have seen some of these images before. All right, and then you have Black Indians in the U.S. All right, Black Indians, women with fringes. The government-sponsored school system is a system that is designed to steer your minds towards the definition of the truth. There are 2 organisms of the government uses to maintain the darkness in the Negro mind. 1, an unchallenged educational system, and 2, the self-taught ministries in the Black church. They steer your eyes to see what they want you to see, and what are about to see is the proof in the pudding. Well, Mr. Lee Cummings, y'all introduced that. The church is here, man. So who's to blame for that? I want you to look at the Indian girl to the right of Geronimo and notice the fringes on the bottom of her garment. There is only one people on earth who ever wore fringes on their garments, and that is Israel. I don't know what tribe these Indians are from, but I am certain that they are Israel. All right? Now look at these people. They're not the original people. So he may be right. They're not the original people. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of our original people did have fringes on their clothes. Does that mean they're from Israel? No. It just means that cultures was intermingled, because I'm certainly sure some of them were wearing feathers as well. All right? So making the assertion that because you have fringes, you're Israel, that is not a fact. Okay? Because look at these people. They aren't our people. All right? I woke up on Wednesday in July 2006, and while I was looking at the images of Black Indians, I noticed that they had fringes on their garments, and I blushed. I have been looking at these Indians and their fringes since I was a little boy, and it just didn't dawn on me that they were Hebrew Israelites. It just goes to show you that Jesus was right when he said, "You have eyes to see, but you can't see." I don't see if these images are of the Black Scots who found it. I don't know if these are the images are of the Black Scots who founded the colonies or the American Indians. But one thing is for sure, these Indians are Israelites indeed. See the essay written by Benjamin Franklin. Okay, so he's saying that I don't know if these images are of the Black Scots who founded the colonies or the American Indians. But one thing is for certain, the Indians are Israelites indeed. All right, he's talking about the ones with the fringes. All right. America as a land of opportunity. 1751. Subject: why increase the sons of Africa in America? Page 90. Benjamin Franklin. Okay. Europe is generally full settled with husbandmen, manufacturers, and therefore cannot now increase in people. America is chiefly occupied by Indians who subsist mostly by hunting. But as the hunter of all men requires the greatest quantity of land from whence to draw his substance. So Benjamin Franklin is saying that they are the hunters of all men. The husbandman sustaining much less, the grandeur on still less, and the manufacturer requiring the least of all. The Europeans found America as fully settled, as it well could be by the hunters. All Africans is black or tawny. Asia chiefly tawny. America woolly so. This means that the Aboriginal American Indians were a black people. Let's read it here again. Okay? And once again, we don't have to play the semantics with the word black. All right? Let's read it here. I'm trying to see if I could bring this here for you so we could read this, right? It says, the Europeans found America as fully settled. Okay? As fully settled. As well could it be by hunters. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia chiefly tawny. America woolly so. This means the original American Indians were a black people. Benjamin Franklin's statement validates the untampered artifacts that just saw. Okay? The first thing that caught my attention was the phrase, the Europeans found America fully settled. He didn't say our fathers, because he knew that the Black Scots were the first Europeans to settle in America. You cannot separate the 13 colonies from this revolutionary statement made by Benjamin Franklin. The chartered colonies had been in existence since 1607, and according to Franklin, they were black, along with the indigenous black Indians. Remember, Franklin said all of America is black. Benjamin Franklin makes this comment in 1751, and guess who was in the land with the black Indians? The Black Scots. All right. So, brothers and sisters, I keep telling y'all, man, you have to be able to know how to fit this puzzle together and know what was what. So everything I've been telling you, now you can see how it's coming into fruition. You feel me? That they came, they set up their colonies, all right, to enslave us, take away our spiritual practices, take away our land, and yes, enslave our people. You see what I'm saying? And then the pale man said, you know what, now we want a piece of that. And that's what happened. Okay? And I'm talking about, in essence, right? Let's continue reading. Benjamin Franklin did not lie. Benjamin Franklin said the only people that were not black were the newcomers, the white and the red, the whites. The history of the free Negro has disappeared from the written history of the 13 colonies. The whites mention the free towns that the free Negro started, such as Black Wall Street and Seneca Village, but what happened to the free Negro writings? His history written by himself. The written history of the free Negroes who were in the northern colonies has been merged together with the black slaves from the South. We have been taught that every Negro in America is the descendant of slaves, and that is historically untrue or not true. There are millions of Negroes walking the streets in America who are descendants of the free Black Scots who founded America. Okay? Now, when you say founded America, they are talking about who founded the 13 colonies. America was a continent, and that's the same thing that this United States are doing. Okay? They call the United States the America. So once again, it is just a concept of colonization. So Lee Cummings, your people didn't do anything that the pale man is not doing right now. Okay? And that's a fact. Yet, when we enter the government-sponsored school system, they are taught that all blacks are descendants of slaves. The miseducation of the so-called Negro starts from the moment he has the ability to reason. Usually around 5 years of age, once the child graduates from high school or college, his miseducation maintained through a tool called Hollywood. The thing called Hollywood only exists to make sure that the false images planted in the Negro's mind never fade away. The best example that I can give you is of a man that paints his house. Over the years, the paint starts peeling, and eventually the man must paint the house again. This is the role that Hollywood plays in the lives of Negroes. When the child finishes high school or college, the false images began to fade away, but not the fear, because Hollywood is there to give the Negro mind a new paint job. Think about it. All right. Now check this out, right? We have images of a few people here, and it says, all these white scholars have one thing in common. They all agree that the Black Britons, the Scotch, the Welsh, and the Irish were the original people of Europe. If the blacks overran Europe, they populated Europe. And if they populated Europe, they were the original founders of Europe and the Americas. They now founders. It doesn't mean that they were the original inhabitants, okay? So you have to read between the lines. They found us here. They were the founders, okay? You dig? All righty. The Highlanders are generally diminutive with brown complexion and almost always with black curled hair and dark eyes. All right? Joseph Ritson and Professor Boyd are in agreement that the Highlander Stuarts were a black people that wait until you see the ship manifest pages 135, 137, and 139, and the writings of former English Secret Service agent John Mackay, page 187. They will leave you speechless. The documents are breathtaking. Highlander of Scotland, Book Story of Britain Nation, Volume 2, author Walter Hutchinson, and Iconographia Scotica, John Pinkerton, and that's 1797. Highlander of Scotland, location, inscription, historica, Rigum, Scotirum, Hornings, Johnston, Amsterdam, 1602. All right, that they're just showing some of these black Scots. All right. Here's another one. They're just showing all the Highlanders of Scotland. All right. Let's read some more. The Highlander, 1567 to 1625. Image location, College Library, Edinburgh, UK. The image states that I am King James Magna, His Majesty of Britannia, Gallia, France, and Hibernia, Hebrews. Hibernia is the ancient spelling of Habarana or Hebrew. This also refers to the inner Hebrides, Ireland, and the outer Hebrides, Scotland. The image also states that I want that Rex one raise fidea or pada or foot of defense. Where did these Jacobites king live? If you said the Highlands of Scotland, you are correct. And based on the writings of Professor Boyd, the blacks that were pushed westward into Scotland were the Hebrews. These images, though slightly whitened, match the verbal map given to us by Professor Boyd. Oh, yeah, that's what they always do. Inserting themselves in history, man. That's what they always do. You know what I'm saying? King James VI of Scotland wrote the Doran Basilica for his infant son Henry in the year 1599. The young Prince Henry died, and King James gave the book to Prince Charles I. This book, Doran Basilica, was written for the benefit of his son, King Charles I, his son's son, and to his seed that was generations away. In this book, King James I admonishes his sons not to participate in anything that is Catholic, Baptist, not to pray with a Baptist, put not to believe with a Baptist. Not his sons did not take heed. In the process of the time, Charles I married a Catholic and brought about a civil war in England. King Charles I lost his head, and thousands of black Brits, Irish, Scots, and Welsh were deported into the Americas as indentured servants. It is important that I continue to stress that there was already a group of free black Scots in America. These free black Scots were in America, where the seed of the original black founding fathers. And you have an image of Charles I, the Jacobite, Stuart King. Okay? I have proof that this story that I tell you is not a lie. See the book written by Jewett priest Joseph Jeff Williams below. The book is titled Hence the Black Irish of Jamaica. And the book tells you how the Black Irish, 100,000 Black Irish children arrived. See the image below. When's the Black Irish of Jamaica? Okay? These Black Irish were sent into the Caribbean by Oliver Cromwell during the English Civil War of 1641, and I provide you with further proof. I have cropped the image and blown it up below so that you can get a real good look at these Black Irish children. Let's play the game. 1 + 1 = 2. If 100,000 Black Irish children were deported into Jamaica and the Caribbean, then there had to be at least 100,000 Black Irish men and 100,000 Black Irish women in Ireland. This means that there were at least 200,000 Black Irish adults in Ireland, dead or alive. I have always said that the elite had another set of books that they were hiding or they were reading from, and over the years, the research has proven it. Let's read again. The words under the picture of the black man say, typical of the Black Irish in Jamaica. The Cromwell Edict, 1653. Those who fail to translate themselves to Connaught or clear Ireland within 6 months shall be guilty of high treason, and you will be sent into America or some other part beyond the sea. When the whites invaded Britain, all right, in 449 AD, they pushed the blacks west into Britain, Scotland, and Ireland. Cromwell did the same thing. Now, let me ask you a question. In 449 AD, like I told y'all before, if the whites pushed the blacks out of Britain and pushed them into the highlands, where were these white people at? Hold up. I thought white people was in caves. I thought they couldn't read. I thought they wasn't all fours. Like I keep telling y'all, stop believing these riddles. Okay? Stop believing the riddles. All right? These same Black Irish were shipped into Jamaica, Barbados, West Indies, and the American colonies. If you want a clearer understanding of the deportation of the Black Irish, you need to purchase the Negro Question Part 4, the missing link. I have that as well. All right. I have that as well. All right. We're going to get into that as well. I have it right here. Okay. So that's definitely another book that we're going to read. It's not a lot of pages, so we should be able to do that in one lecture. All right. So I got that as well. The book shows you the two groups going into captivity. The one group coming out of Europe and the second group coming out of West Africa. Both groups of blacks are on the same boat. The old timers used to say that a hard head will make a soft behind, and I guess that is what happened to King Charles I. Now that we have seen this great tragedy, let us now focus on attention on King Charles II. Location, Westminster Abbey, London. Have you ever heard that saying, like father, like son? Well, that's exactly what occurred here. Lightning struck twice, and it got the same result. This time it was learned that King Charles II was attempting to convert Catholicism by making a secret deal with the French. King Charles was forced to abdicate his throne in favor of his nephew James II of England. Somebody asked, so they already here settled, which mean already conquered. Yep, absolutely African justice. They were the first one who enslaved the original people of the Americas, the ones who came and set up the 13 colonies. All right, and then their white counterparts who pushed them out of Britain and pushed them into the highlands of Scotland. All right, say now we want a piece of that. You can't be out there in the America talking like you the man. Nah, we want a piece of that. And that's how all this war started, all right, between them and the pale man right here in our land, all right? Here we go. During the reign of the black German King George I, 1714 to 1727, the Jacobites rebelled in England, all right, meaning that the Israelites, okay? The Israelites. This was nicknamed the 15th because it took place in 1715. The Jacobites covenants, the black Jews were trying to wrest the crown from the black German king Hanover and place the black Stuart kings back on the throne of England, but this was not to be. The Jacobites were imprisoned, executed, or sent into the colonies on convict ships. That's why in Deuteronomy, they said that they were sent on ships into a land. Brothers and sisters, these people are telling their story. This is not our story. Okay? I know a lot of you are trying to hold on to the Bible and trying to make you think it's ours. It's not. That's theirs. That's their story. Okay? The Jacobites were imprisoned and executed or sent into the colonies on convict ships. I want to remind you that the free black Scots founded the Americas came during the reign of King George I of England and of England, Charles II of England, and James II of England. Now, when you said founded, they're talking about corporations, okay? They're talking about setting up corporations. And then the pale man came and said, okay, you know what? It's our turn to say we are the founders. So now they set up their shop, which is the United States, their corporation. But before them, those black Scots, the Irish, the Scottish, all, the Germans, they set up their companies. Okay? There we go. They were the ones who changed the names of our people. They were the ones, it was the black Scots, the black Irish, the ones who came here and set up those colonies. They were the ones who called us Indians. All right? The free black Scots came into the Americas in waves. Virginia 1607, Georgia 1732, the Hampshire 1629, Maryland 1632, Connecticut 1662, Delaware 1701, Maine 1622, New England 1620, Plymouth 1629, New Jersey 1664, Carolina 1663, Pennsylvania 1681, and Rhode Island 1683. So let me ask you a question. Because all these names are now here in the America, does it mean that it originated in the America? No. Those are the names that they came with. Okay? They came with those names and marked their territory by giving those places their names. All right? The second Jacobite revolution or rebellion took place in the year 1745, called the 45, under King George II, who was a very evil king. But I guess the other one wasn't evil, right? You're going to call the German king evil because his was more brutal and he was straightforward with it. But the one that came with the Bible and said they don't listen and accept our God, we're going to kill them with the law of God. All of a sudden, they were not evil kings, right? Lee Cummins, stop, man. Come on, stop. Stop. Okay? King George, Black German King of England, was the first king of England to legalize the enslavement of men. When the state of Georgia was given its first charter, slavery was illegal. But in 1751, King George II legalized slavery. I want you to get this. There was no such thing as slavery in the British colonies because it was illegal. It was only indentured servantry, all right, which is pretty much the same thing, all right? I have a greater witness than this. I want to take a few pages and discuss the so-called convicts that were sent into the 13 colonies by the English. I have read plenty of books on this subject, and I have discovered that the word convict has been misapplied to those political prisoners. When we think of convicts in the generation, we imagine thieves, murderers, pedophiles, and rapists and politicians, but that was not the case with these convicts. These convicts were political prisoners. The convicts that were sent into the colonies as free men or indentured servants were the nobles. All right? Prince, barons, and princesses. Princesses, barons, and princesses. Keep in mind that this was a large group of Black Europeans flooding into the colonies. Now, let's go. Let me stop here for a second. Well, let me finish read this. I want to show y'all something. When these Black Scottish political prisoners arrived in the 13 colonies, the government had already been established by the free Black Scots. In the book of Isaiah chapter 23:13, it reads, "Behold the land of the Chaldeans. This land was not, till the Assyrian founded it. For them that dwell in the wilderness." Who dwelt in the wilderness? All right then. All right. They set up the towers thereof, they raised up the places thereof, and he brought it to ruin. This is the same thing that happened to the Black founding Scots. They set up the government of the 13 colonies, and the whites took it over. But you took it from what? The children of the wilderness, which is our people. I have in my possession ships manifest that give a description of the Black stewards and the other Highlanders that were deported into the colonies. See the ship manifest on the next page. All right, so let me ask you a question, right? It's like a thief calling a thief a thief. Oh, now you stole his bike, but you can't steal it from me. You feel what I'm saying? Now let me show y'all something real quick. Wade says the convicts that were sent into the colonies as free men or indentured servants were the nobles, princes, barons, and princesses. Keep in mind that these were the later group of Black Europeans flooding into the colonies. Now let me pause here for a second. In the meantime, I would like you guys to just build in the chat. I want to pull something up for y'all, okay? Let me see if I can pull that up. Let me see. Give me a second here, guys. I'm looking for something for y'all. Give me a second. Members, purchase, place of origin, states. Let me see. It says, all right. Let me see. Give me a second here. All right, the family on May 6th that I'm going to give birth to a boy that the Markle family, Markle family is of German descent, and originates in Alias on the modern French, and Meghan's paternal ancestors moved to the United States in the 17th century. Now let me show y'all something. Just so y'all know, I know what I'm talking about. Okay. Let me share my screen real quick. Share my screen. Okay. All right. So here we go. I want y'all to really see what's being played out right now. All right. And I like to validate things because I like to show. All right. Now, Meghan, you know who Meghan is, right? You know, she married Prince Harry, right? The Meghan family, the Duchess of Sussex, right? I'm going to show you that she's also royalty. She was already royalty before they got married. He didn't make her royalty. Okay. He didn't make her royalty. As a matter of fact, she was the one who solidified his royalty. It wasn't the other way around. I'm gonna put y'all up on some game, okay? Because like I said, I don't be playing with my information. You dig? Let's get into this. Members of Markle and Rockland families have been related by marriage to the British royalty since the wedding of Meghan Markle and Prince Henry, Duke of Sussex. On May 9th, 2018, when Meghan became the Duchess of Sussex, almost a year later, on the 6th of May, 2019, Meghan gave birth to a baby. All right, let's skip here. The Markle family, spelled Markle, family of German, all right, German descent, and descended and originates in Alsace on the modern French-German border. And Meghan's paternal ancestors moved to the United States in the 1700s. Among her father's other ancestors are American settlers, okay, of what? English, Dutch, and Irish, okay? So they're just tying back their bloodline. So once again, I am proving to you, I know what I'm talking about. You feel me? So Meghan was already royalty. It is literally what's happening now. It is the white British and the black British that's coming together in unity right now to create a one empire. Okay? Because they have been at odds and war with each other from the very, very onset of things. When his family moved, forced their family out of Britain and pushed them into Scotland. Okay? So that marriage was a truce between them. You feel me? And then it says what? Descendants of Meghan's maternal ancestors were what? Enslaved were in Georgia. Who created Georgia? King George. Her mother is a descendant of King George, a German. Y'all think it's a game? Come on, man. All right, then. So just to let you know, all right, that was a covenant between them, bringing back the two empires that was at odds with each other. Because they fought, they again, all right, the whole plan is they know what the deal is. They know. We the ones that don't really know what's going on. All right. But from the very inception in Britain, you had two sets of families living there. Okay. You had the white Brits, okay, who was also nobles, and you had the black Brits who were also nobles. The white people forced them out of that area and they had to move into the highlands. But because times are changing, and I personally think that has to do something with the American Aborigines waking up, because we got to get back our throne. So now they're coming back together, and that marriage was the solidification of that union, bringing back the nobles back together on the white side of Britain and the black side of Britain. All right, somebody stop me now. Let us proceed. All right. Passenger list transcribed directly from Company 5 190, page 362, the National Archives, Key, London, England. The official transcription of this list, published by the Government Record Office, is found in Calendar of State pages, Colonial Series, America and the West Indies, 1574 to 1739. There, the name Gate is written. Gate. All right. Then we have Scipio, a list of 95 prisoners that went on board a Scipio at Liverpool in order for transportation 30th March 1716. This record 30 March 1716. 95 rebel prisoners, according to the above list, on board the Scipio John Sasbrick, COMR period, in order to for transportation. Rich, or I guess that must be abbreviation for Richard, Gilbert Hen, Trafford, on the same company 5190, page 369 in the summary information table. 95 rebels shipped. March 30th, Scipio, Master, JNO period, Sasbic, bound for Virginia. The Black Scots were described as prisoners or rebels because they were trying to re-establish Black Scottish rulership in England after the Civil War, back to the ship's manifest. So brothers and sisters, once again, like I told y'all before, we only are paying attention to what's happening in the Americas. You have to do research what was happening on the other side of the world for you to get a full comprehension of this whole story, to put the pieces together. You see what I'm saying? All right then. So if we're going to continue to sit around and watch this unfold and become slaves again, that's on y'all. All right? All right then. They're going to learn today though. Here we go. And once again, for those of you who want to support, man, like I said, we going in today. I'm going to go as far as I can because I'm getting a little winded, but I'm going to keep going. All right? I'm going to keep going. For those of you who want to support, you know what I'm saying, by all means, let me put my my link in there so you could, the link for support. I would, and you know, like I said, it's very much appreciated because you're not going to learn that stuff in college. You're not going to learn that stuff in school. I guarantee you that. All right? So showing your appreciation is very much appreciated. All right? So here we go. Let me drink some juice. The royal seat of Stuarts, Highlanders on the convict ship Scipio 1716. King James Stuart, all right? King Charles I Stuart and King Charles II Stuart, all right? You have 76, Alex Stewart, Charles Stewart, Danny Stewart, Daniel Stewart, John Stewart, 83, John Stewart, 84, John Stewart, 85, William Stewart, 12, Peter Cumming, 13, Peter Cumming. That's his family right there. So the man know his people. The man has traced his lineage, all right? Liverpool, England to St. Christopher's, Leeward's Island, West Indies, Liverpool, June 25th, 1716, all right? Treasury Solicitor, Jacobite Rebellion. That was the rebellion. That was an Israelite rebellion, all right, at that time in 1745. Prosecution Papers, TS 20/47/3, page 8. 25th June 1716, shipped on board the Hawken Hill. Captain Hawken Hill, short commander for St. Christopher's, 30 rebels or prisoners, NCH period, at 40 SH, each amount to 60 pounds. All right. We have Board of Trade and Secretaries of State, America and West Indies, Original Correspondence, Company 5/190, page 361. Governor of the Leeward Islands, Whitehall, 16 August 16th of August 1716. Andrew Ramsey, Mark Burneman, Ash Christie, Walter Stewart, James Corey, Lawrence Charters, James Hayes, John Ridley, James Congleton, Robs Criswell, Patrick Gardner, James Congleton, Patrick Moray, William Henderson, Henry Ogleby, Tho Dahl Mohoy, Will M. Hardwick, Walter McLean, Will M. Moray, John Robinson, Don Cameron, Alex Kennedy, Alex McIntosh, Kennedy Bean, Don Macpherson, John McCoy, William Ramsey, Thos Mackenzie, Law Oliphant. As you can see that on the ship Hawkinwell, there was a steward by the name of Walter Stewart. It appears that the English rounded up the seed of King Stewart and sent them all into the colonies as convicts. Ship Wakefield, all right? Liverpool, England to South Carolina, the Americas. Liverpool, April 21st, 1716. The Board of Trade and Secretaries of State, America and West Indies. Original correspondence with this number right here, all right? And then I read that already. Sir, I am commanded by His Royal Highness to transmit to you the enclosed list of the rebel prisoners who have been ordered to be transported to South Carolina, and am to signify to you, HRH, pleasure, that you do with all convenient speed return exact list of those rebel prisoners that have landed in that province, that the same may be led before His Royal Highness. Once again, the book, The Negro Question, Part 6, The 13 Colonies by Lee Cummins, all right? 79 Stewart, ship Wakefield with Stewart convict passenger. These official ships manifest are like hidden nuggets of the gold if you understand timelines. Now we know there was no slavery in the Carolinas as late as 1716. This is critical. King George I was the black German king that sat on the throne of England during the deportation of these black Jacobites. Like I told y'all before, those were their own people sending their own people here. All right? They just had different religions. That's all it was. You did. Scots, Brits, and Irish in the year 1715. So all up to 1715, family, it was people coming here as indentured servants, prisoners of war. Okay? These rebels were in fact princes from the royal house of Stuart, and the other Highland royal houses were tried to reinstate the Stuarts to the throne, the three kingdoms. The Stuarts were shipped all over the West Indies, Barbados, Leeward Islands, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, Antigua, Cayman Islands, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, Anguilla, St. Lucia, the Grenadine and the Americas, and the Turk Island. If you live in one of these destinations and your last name is Stewart, you are probably a descendant of King James VI of Scotland. See the ship's manifest on the next page. List of rebel prisoners, Royal Seed, imported Captain Edward Tradoff Inn. Okay, those are the lineages of King Stuart, King James Stuart, King Charles I Stuart, and King Charles II Stuart. All right, Robinson Owen Macpherson, and you have a few names: Donald Shaw, Malcolm Stewart, Angus Shaw, John Stewart, Rob Bruce, John Burnburr, John Kennedy, Rob Smith, Robert Stewart, Rob Stewart, Will Turner, well, short for William Turner, James Nisbet, John Stewart, James McIntosh, Francis Home. If you look closely at the ship's manifest, Elizabeth and Anne, you can see that the last name Stewart is James. The name Stewart will occur frequently on more than one ship's manifest because the royal seed is being deported into the Carolinas. All right? And you have all the names here. The following 83 not indented free black Scots from Roman citizens. All right. You have Alex Watt. I'm not going to read all the names. All right. But they are there. So I don't know if you could make them out. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to see if I could kind of like, here we go. So you guys could pause and read the names for yourself because I'm not going to read all those names. All right. Here we go. Here we go. All the names right here. So you could pause the video on the replay to see all those names that were descendants of all these royal nobles that came here. Okay. Look at the map on the next page. The white English shipped the entire Black Highlands population of Scotland into the American colonies. These Black Scots were the indentured servants that you read about in the high school, but to hide the truth to lie, they simply reclassified the blacks as whites, indentured servants. Okay? Y'all peep the game? Y'all peep the game, right? Now, when you go look at free white person, what does it say? All right? We did that before. Hold on for a second. Let me see if I can pull that up for you guys while you are doing your thing. Let me see if I could pull that up for you guys. Where it's at? Give me a second. Boom. Here we go. We ain't playing, man. We putting in some real work right now. All right? Real work as usual. Let me see. It says refer to app. It says it includes all Europeans. All right. So let me see if I could share this screen right here. Give me a second. Let me go back here to hold up. What's going on? I don't need that. This is where we at. Nope, that's not where we at. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen real quick. Share my screen. Let me see if I could find that for y'all. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for, man. Come on. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to wait till this. I think there's a slight delay, so I want to wait until it come on the screen. All right. Yeah, my bad. Pardon, you know, that chakra thing just came up. That was from the last lecture, right? So here we go. Free white persons. Free white persons refer to the Naturalization Act as amended by the Act July 14th, 1870, has the meaning naturally given to it when first used in the Stats 103, 3 meaning all persons belonging to what? The European races, then commonly counted as white, and the descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have emigrated. It includes all European Jews, more or less intermixed with the peoples of Celtics, Scandinavian, the Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and the Slavic descent. It includes Magyars, the Lapps, the Finns, the Basques, and the Albanians. It includes the mixed Latin, Celtics, Iberian, and the Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and the North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed South and Tatar inhabitants of South Russia. It does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races, nor mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, or Semitic and Mongolian peoples who inhabited Persia. That's important here because that's exactly what he's talking about. All right, let's go back here now and show you. Let me stop sharing the screen. Let's go back to the book now. Let's go back to the book. Let's go back to the book. What does it say? Right here. Well, I'm showing you guys that I'm verifying everything that I'm talking about. All right, here we go. Here we go. Look at the map on the next page. The white English shipped the entire Black Highlands population of Scotland into the American colonies. These Black Scots were the indentured servants that you read about in high school, but to hide the truth, to lie, they simply reclassified the blacks as white indentured servants. You feel me? I just showed y'all that again. All right. So so that's why I keep telling you, if you go fill out that SF-181 form and you put white, that's who you are. One of those descendants of those people. You are calling yourself a foreigner in your own land. So don't fall with this trap with this SF-181. I already did a video on that, so I'm not getting into that. Okay? But I'm just showing y'all how I'm cross-referencing my information to show you that I know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's continue reading. Take a deep breath. Oh, yes, we have been reading for a while. I'm going to do that. All righty, let's go. Take a deep breath. Breathe in Hebrew, breath, and look at the names on the ancient Scottish map. Do you see your last name? Do you see someone with a last name on the map? These Black Scots were placed on the convict ships and headed to Africa, where another cargo was waiting to pick up the West African slave. Two different groups of blacks arrived in the West Indies and the Americas. One had the unfortunate fate of being a slave and the other an indentured servant. I explained this in great detail in the Negro question part 4. The African slave ships that came from Judah, back to the ship's manifest. All right, now those names are really small right there, so I don't think we could really make those out. All right, so we have a few names. Moray. Let's see. Livingston. What else we have? So he's saying if you have one of those names, then you might be a descendant of those nobles from Britain. Fletcher, Maury Gore. But anyway, like I said, this is kind of small, so this is something you may have to go look up to see if you could find another source of those names. All right. I'm trying to see if I could focus that thing. But anyway, let's proceed. Now we have every name on the ship's manifest is that of the Black Scottish Highlander and a Royal Steward house. All right. And you have all those names. Robertson, Moray, I'm calling the so-called surnames, okay? Mundell, Lyon, Kane, Henderson, Carr, Stewart, McIntosh, Stewart, Carr, Shaw, Abercrombie, Stewart, Dunn, Cruster, Rutherford. All those are names of those Scots and Irish, okay? You have a few more Stewarts. All right, here we go. Liverpool, England to Annapolis, Maryland. That's the 8th of October, 1716. I am only listing the last name Stewart that is found on the ship's manifest. A list of rebel prisoners transported into the province in the ship Goodspeed on the 18th day of October, Anno Domini 1716, with the names of the persons who purchased them. Prisoners' names, all right? Daniel Stewart, John Stewart. Purchaser was England or Middleton. Yeah, that map, man, I wish, I could photocopy it, and I'll try to see if I could scan it and put it up. But what you could do is Google the clans of Scotland, because I think I already did that. Let me see. You know what? Let me see if I could pull it up. Give me a second. All right. I mean, I really didn't want to, get into that, but let's just see. I mean, we here putting in that work anyway. So let's see if we could pull it up. The clans of Scotland in the 1700s. Let me see. A map of the clans of Scotland in the 1700s.
These pictures should match.
All right, here we go, family. I think I found something. All right, let's see if we could pull that up and I'll share it with you guys. Let me see here. Let me see if I could blow that up. All right, here we go. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Let me show y'all the names. Okay. Here we go. Those are the clan, okay, of Scotland. And I pulled up the clans of Scotland in the 1700s. So those are the names, okay? So we have names such as, and remember, whenever you come from a family, it's the family of, okay? It's the family of, okay? I know there's a delay. Let me just wait till it comes so I could see what y'all, so make sure we're on the same page. I think there's a slight delay. Because I'm looking at this stuff on my phone right now, and it's not showing up just yet. So I'm just making sure so I could read it. Okay, so all right, so that means that y'all could probably see it now. So you have MacLeod of Harris, all right. You have McNeil. You have the McDonald of Clan Ranald. You have the clan of Lewis. All right. You have Sutherland. You have Ross. All right. As in Diana Ross. You have Monroe. You have Mackenzie. All right. You have Grant. You have Fraser. You have the clan of Chatham. You have Garden. You have Aberdeen. You have Leslie, Forbes, Duncan. You have Scott, Elliott. You have Wallace. You have Stewart. You have Campbell. You have McDonald. You have McLean. You have McGuire. You have McIntosh. You have Monroe. Okay, so I'm just showing you all these names that a lot of our people have. They thinking that came from the Caucasian man. No, it came from the Black Scots and the Black Irish. Okay, the Black Germans. It came from them. But those are the clans of Scotland, of that highland in the 1700s. All right. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because somebody requested that. All right. Let us go back to the chat. So here we go. Let us proceed. All right, let's go. I'm not gonna we'll do a part 3 with that, just to wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna conclude in a few, okay? So here we go. A list, let me see where I'm reading. Like, we're gonna read right here. Now that I have time to look at the available data and analyze it, I see that the indentured servants began pouring into the Black 13 colonies in 1716 during the reign of King George I. I don't know if it was zeal or racism that caused the colonial historian to write that the first slaves came into Virginia in 1619. Who can tell that was running through the minds of the post-colonial historian or even this modern historian when he writes glowingly about slavery in the original 13 colonies. The dates for the British slave trade are inflated and uh, and I would argue this point with the best of their scholars. The British involvement in the enslavement of men must be dated from the time the George Charter was revoked in the year 1751. So what Lee Cummins is making an attempt at is to excuse his ancestors for the role that they played. That's what I'm getting, because I'm reading that your ancestors came with the Bible and the sword to lay the law of your God down. To me, that's the worst kind of slavery, man. That means you are taking away my spiritual customs, and you're trying to enslave me with your God. But you telling me that's cool, but then the man that say, nah, you know what I'm saying? We doing some real slavery stuff. You mad at him for that? Nah, man, stop it, bro. Stop it. Stop it. None of this land is yours. It's not yours. Whether it may have been, your ancestors or the Germans, it wasn't yours. Okay? You came and you found it. In other words, you were a settler. All right? Let us go now. Georgia was the first British colony to legalize slavery, and thus this is the true date for the British involvement in human trafficking. This means that the slavery existed in the British colonies for only 114 years, which even brings me to my point. That means less Africans came here. All right. Now we have a list. All right. Blackwell, March 22nd, 1739 to 1740. A list of 115 felons and convicts shipped from Newgate by Andrew Reed, Esquire, on the board the York, Captain Anthony Bacon, commander bound for Maryland. All right, so you have all the surnames. So we're going to look at the surnames, not necessarily the last name. So all these names that you have, that we have, all those are not so-called white people names. All right, they are names from the so-called Black Scots, the Irish, the British. Okay, you have surnames such as Wood, Marin. Let me see if I could kind of like, so I don't have to read everything, man, because that's a lot of names. Let me see if I could kind of, so you could see the names. There we go. All right. So y'all could go ahead and see if your surnames are actually one of those names. So then you would know, all right. Nat Turner was also a descendant of those nobles, Okay. There we go. All right. Let us go to the other side. You could always pause it and see if your family name is this, so you know. Okay. Here we are. All right. Those are some of the names here. Come on. Get in focus, get in focus, get in focus. Stop playing. Anyway. Okay. I'm trying. All right, there we go. Okay. Those were 100 of those so-called convicts that came here. All right. So you see, they came here with those names already. And a lot of them married a lot of our women. Okay. And a lot of our women took their last names. That's why you have some of the names that you have. All right. See that right there? Those are the first names and all that. Those are the first names over here. And the so-called last name Green, all those are Scottish names. All right. Irish names. All right. Here we go. Some names again. All right. All those are names. Okay. They did not come from the Caucasian man. I keep telling y'all. All right. Let me see. Boom, 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 boom. Come on, man. Come on. Give me a little focus here, please. Work with me. Work with me. Work with the God. Come on. There we go. Work with the God. That's what I'm talking about. All right. All those names. All those names. Okay. All those names. Come on. Okay. Let me see if we could get these in focus. There we go. All right. All those names. All those names. So if you have any of those names, those they did not come from the pale man. They came, it means that your ancestors either married one of those nobles that came here, one of those convicts from Britain, England, or Ireland. It doesn't necessarily mean that is, that's where your mom was from. It just probably means they fell in love with one of those people and married them, and they took their surname. All right. So yes, you have that connection. Okay. Now let's read. So far, every ship manifest that I have shown you has steward represented on it. When you are dealing with the miseducation of the entire planet, you have to take your time when driving home a point. The point that I'm trying to make is this. The Stuart Royal House, the entire Scotland Highlands, was deported into the 13 colonies during the civil wars of England. This, pardon me, is the reason that I presented you with the multiple ships manifest, so that you could see for yourself that the roundup of the royal family was real. In this generation, the Stuarts would continue to name their sons after a male relative so that the name would not die out of the earth. The name that keeps popping up as a Stuart on the ship's manifest is James, Charles, and William. These are the former name of the Black Stuart kings of Scotland, Britain, and Ireland. Why did the Black Stuarts do this? Now, here's something else, right? Let me ask you a question, right? What is the name of the so-called current princes and princesses in England? Isn't it Charles and William? Come on, man. I'm dropping some jewels on y'all right now. Okay? Because they replaced the original ones. You have Prince William, Prince Charles. They took their names. Okay? They took their names. Let us proceed. These are, all right, the answer is found in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 25, chapter 25, verse 5 and 6. The scripture says that if a man die, then his brother shall raise up seed to him, that his name be not blotted out of Israel. This is the reason that the Stuart kings renaming their sons James after King James Stuart, Charles after Charles the First, and Charles the Second, and William the Conqueror. The Stuarts use subtle signs that only another Hebrew would understand. When you get to the section on Harriet Tubman, it will blow your mind away when you see that her real last name was Stuart. And Stuart, is there a ship manifest that gives a physical description of the Jacobites and the Stuarts that came to America as convicts and political prisoners? Yes, and you will be amazed by the description given. All right, so we'll do a part 3. I'm gonna conclude this right now, because like I said, I'm getting a little bit winded. All right, so I've been going for a few hours. So let me stop sharing the screen. Let me reposition my camera, and so you don't see all the distraction while you guys kind of talk amongst yourselves in the chat right now. Okay. All right, I'm just readjusting the camera right here, guys. Okay, readjusting my camera. All righty. Okay. All righty, let me turn my camera around. I think we got that right here. Let me come back here and bring back the camera. Let me adjust. All right, here we go. I think we good. Okay. So once again, man, yes, the Southern Common is also on the map. All right. So the next build we'll get into Like I told y'all before, Harriet Tubman, you know, she wasn't an American Aboriginal. She's a descendant, okay, of those royals, okay? And she was rescuing the nobles, the children. That's who she was rescuing. She was protecting that noble seed, all right? And what she had to do is not because she knew the Underground Railroad. You know what I'm saying? Nah, she got the help of the American Indian people to help her out because they knew who these people were. They were royals, they were nobles from the other side who came here as convicts, as prisoners of war. And Harriet Tubman was trying to save the seed and save the blood. All right. So now y'all know what it is. You feel what I'm saying? Now you know what it is. Harriet Tubman wasn't that. Her story is not our story. Her story got intermingled in our story like everybody else. You feel me? But she's from the other side, and she's of that royal bloodline, and she was literally rescuing, all right, those noble children. That's why in Britain right now you have Prince Charles, Prince Charles, what's the other one, Harry, and all that, because they literally took those names. All right, so it's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot going on, man. But you know, we'll get through it. We'll get through it. We'll get through it. All right. Yeah, man. But anyway, family, that's it for me, man. Like I said, I'm beat. All right. I'm mentally tired right now. You feel me? So because remember, I did what, 2 bills today? I did 2 bills today plus my own work that I had to do. You see what I'm saying? So it's all good. All right. Go ahead and do y'all thing. It's my pleasure. Like I said, I love doing what I do. Go ahead and share the information once again for those of you who really appreciate this, man. You know what I mean? By all means, you know, support and show some love. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Their job is to literally take the truth away from us, man. They're not teaching us the facts. You feel what I'm saying? They're not teaching us the facts. So we have to start digging for ourselves to know who is who and know what we are doing. So when you hear all these people talking about, oh, this is our land, and you know what I'm saying, this was this and this was that, they're talking from a colonization mindset. Their forefathers found it. So you had 2 sets of founders, all right? You had the first set, which was those so-called black nobles that came here and set up the 13 colonies, all right? Then you had the pale man who came in and said, nah, man, we want a piece of that. And then the American Aborigines, we either have to pick sides. Did we have to pick? I mean, should we pick the side of our brothers who came here and looked like us and took our land, forced their religion on us, or take the side of the pale man, the likes we have never seen? So it was we were stuck in the middle. Some of us took sides with, you know, the so-called 13 colonies, the so-called blacks, and some of us took sides with the pale man. You feel me? So right now, we as the original indigenous people of the land, we have to step up and let them know that we know who we are. We have our own identity. You see what I'm saying? And we are stepping up so that we could have our own voice. Because at the end, not the ending of the day, but in the continuation of all this, right? Everybody that's in power right now, the Black Caucus, all these people, they know the deal. They know the deal. They know who they know. All right. So I'm doing all this so we could get into the meat of things. We got to get our hands dirty. We got to put our feet in the ground and do the research. I know you don't have the time to do the research. You don't have the time to do the reading. So I'm doing it for you. You see what I'm saying? I'm buying the books. It cost me what? Over $300, almost $400 buying books so I could come read them to you. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of books. You feel me? It's a lot of books, man. I mean, that's just not even half of it. If I'm not even a quarter of it, you know what I mean? And I actually lent out like about 10 of them. All right. All of this right here is that. All right. Look, that's all I do. Nothing but reading and studying so I could bring the information to you. You see what I'm saying? So all I'm just saying, man, I think a brother deserves a little support. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. All right. I showed you those books before. You know, that's what we are reading. You know, I've, you know, just reading a lot of these books. Of course, you know, that's when we do our Sunday bills, the Bible dictionary, you know what I'm saying? I bought that as well. All right, to break down the words, you know what I'm saying? So you know. We use that as well. We're going to get into this as well. All right. The Redneck Manifesto. I think I've showed you those before. So we're going to be reading. We're going to be doing a lot of reading, man. Reading is fun for the mental. You dig? So a lot of people want to know, well, hey, Chief, you know, where do you get some of the information? Well, I'm showing you. I want to share the information with you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't know your story, man, they ain't going to tell you your story. They're only going to tell you his story. All right? That's one of the nobles right there bringing, cargo from Britain. All right? Here we go. It's another book, you know, the naming of America. All right. So like I said, man, you know, that's all I do, man. You know, just study, man. Read, study, do work, putting in that work. You see what I'm saying? The Miseducation of the Negro, you know. Some of you probably read those before. All right. When we are done with the Negro question, we're going to jump into this right here. The missing link. All right. That's part 4. Okay. Lee Cummings as well. All right. I think we did this before, but I'm going to do it again. All right. The Morris Treatise. All right. Okay. We're going to get into that again. And then, of course, this is the one that we are doing right now. So tomorrow we should be able to, tomorrow we're going to do part 3 if the ancestors, you know, permit, if it's their will. We'll do part 3 and then we'll wrap this up. All right. And then you'll see how, what you will call it, Harriet Tubman come to play in all of this. So now you can start putting the pieces together. You feel me? All right. So I appreciate love you guys, man. Thank you so much for being a part of this build. I have fun. I love doing what I do. And I really appreciate you guys at least just being there, man, and just reading with me. You know, as I'm reading, you know, that's why I had to take the camera and put it on the book, because I want you to see, I want you to feel what I'm feeling. I want you to be a part of this. You know what I'm saying? It's interactive. You feel me? So that's what we are doing. And all this is done for a reason, because once we know what's what, and once we know what transpired, and once we know who did what, and who is who and who is not, now we are able to come together with a clearer mind. You see what I mean? Because we know exactly what happened, when it happened, who did it. So now we got to watch both sides, because we have always been in the middle. And that's what's been missing. All right. I'm bringing the pieces to you that was missing. There were many pieces of the puzzle that just wasn't fitting. So now I'm bringing all that together for you. So now we could see. We turn left, we got somebody we got to deal with. We turn right, there's people we got to deal with. And then we are always stuck in the middle. So now what we have to do now is come together in the middle and step up and do what we got to do. You feel me? That's what it is. But we have to be very mindful, because every skin folk and kinfolk, keep that in mind. You feel me? And not every pale man is against you. And not every so-called black man is against you. So now it's about looking at people's energies and looking at the intent. All right, the intentions. And now we have to step up into a higher frequency. So that's why I am mixing up all the lessons. I am teaching you about your God. I'm breaking down the Bible for you. I'm doing the metaphysical aspect of things. I'm talking about the chakras, because you have to be able to step up into a higher consciousness. So when you see people, you don't have to talk to them. You're going to feel their energy right away. You feel me? That's where we are going with this. We stepping this up on a whole different level. You feel me? All right. So thank you, and peace and love to each and every one of you. Like I said, I'll see you at the next sunrise, because I'm gonna take a break right now, relax myself, and just chill. All right. Thank you so much. Peace, love, harmony, and light. Continue to do your thing. Continue to research, and just know that, like I said, yeah, guys, you are the gods. We are the gods. All right. So let's work together and do what we got to do. All right. Peace.